Welcome to this passport seminar. I really appreciate your being here, especially my students and my colleagues who brought their students or encouraged them to come. But most especially, I'm really excited that we have our invited guests up here on the front who will be talking to you later, who are former graduates of this program. I want to start by asking you a question. You think for a minute. Have you thought about your future after Lamar? Your future concerning getting into the workforce. Have you thought about it? Is your degree in great demand? Meaning, is it going to be easy for you to get a job? Do you know what an entry-level position is in your field? Meaning a job title that you're going to be applying for? Do you know what kind of salary you would make in that position with that major? I am here to tell you today about a program that is in great demand, has lots of jobs, more jobs than we have students to fill them, and pays a good salary, lots of good salaries. I always like to bring this passport presentation as we start advising, so you can be aware of what we have to offer, what it can do for you in terms of making you more marketable, because that's the name of the game in terms of, can I get a job? You spend a lot of money coming to Lamar, right? You or your parents or the government has. And you want to be able to get out, see a return on that investment, use your skills that you're learning in your classes, and be happy and productive in a career that has a lot of growth in terms of a career path. What I want to talk to you about today specifically as we get into this presentation is, what is MIS all about? What is MIS? That's the program I'm going to talk about. What is the curriculum? What is the software we teach? What are the salaries that our graduates are making? And a little about SAP, since most of our curriculum in MIS involves learning more and more about SAP and how much in demand that is. And then I'm going to end the presentation by having one, if not both, of my former students who are working in the field here locally. They graciously agreed to come back and share with you what they do in their job and how much they like it and how rich they're getting working in a hospital environment. And then we'll end by having the raffle for the AIS t-shirt. Okay? With that intro, let's get started. We offer both a BBA in MIS and a minor in MIS. Both of them are very marketable. We have a lot of majors in both. What is MIS? A lot of people ask me that. Essentially, you see what the definition is. There's many different definitions. We try to keep it simple in our department and say that MIS is the application of technology, using technology to solve business problems. What's a business problem? Can you give me an example of a problem? Needing to expand what? Operations? That means you're growing in your environment. Do you know that most of the business problems that we address deal with information? You know we live and work in an information age, and managers need information in order to make decisions, and they're looking for people who can come in, create that information, manage that information, analyze that information. What does it mean? Give it to managers to help support their decision making. In terms of, we got to have that information before we know if it's profitable to expand or to introduce a new product or to enter a new market. Most of the problems that we deal with concern information. How we get it, how we analyze it, what it is telling us, and how it can help us. Every business does this. And of course, we also have the problems with networks and websites and looking for people to create apps for our mobile devices and all of these different kinds of problems that every business goes through. An MIS professional tries the technology to integrate all of the different areas of a business. Everybody ends up working in a business. Everybody's not an MIS major, but they could be. They could also pick up a minor because every business uses technology, all types of technology, mobile to wired, in all of these departments. MIS students learn to analyze, design, develop, and maintain those systems to support all those business functions and activities that managers in all those departments need for their decision making. These are just some examples that I bet you had used in terms of using the internet and the computer I'm going to be using the reservation system. I'm flying to New York Friday, and I'm going to download my boarding pass. I made my reservations on the internet. I do my banking on the internet. You probably do too. We carry out all of our email and social media through using the internet, so I don't have to tell you the benefits of what technology does for us. And do you think that technology is going away? To where the jobs will dry up? Not a chance. It's only proliferating. There'll always be technology and people who are needed to implement that technology and use it and distribute the information from that technology. These are just a few examples. Many times during advising, students ask us, what is the difference between your degree in the College of Business, MIS, and the degree in Arts and Sciences, Computer Information Systems? CIS used to be in engineering, and it got moved to Arts and Sciences. So I thought, well, let's just put a side-by-side comparison of how we differ. Our focus, obviously, is in the business area. Theirs is in software, creating, developing software, and we need that done. That's important. But our focus is in business. What is our objective? To run a more efficient and effective business with the help of our infrastructure, our technology infrastructure. Theirs is on creating reliable software programs that have been coded, developing software. Our core skill is on problem solving. That's the name of the game in the business world, solving those problems. Theirs is on what's the logic and the coding and the procedures to write that C++ or that JavaScript application. That's important. It's a high level of expertise involved. The core task. We determine the business requirements for information systems. Business requirements as it relates to information needs. What kind of information do you need to make that kind of decision? Theirs is on delivering information systems to meet those requirements, delivering the coded software applications. Our starting job title, this is one of many, it's not the only one, but this is a good generic one, Business Systems Analyst. Theirs would be Application Programming. I asked you earlier what your starting job title would be with your major. That is something you need to research and find out if you intend to work in that field. The career goals for MIS, you have a very high career path with lots and lots of jobs in different areas of technology. That's what makes it so exciting to work in this field, because you could go the software route, you could go the web design route, you could go the database route. And when I use the term database, I'm talking back-end operations, website, front-end operations that you learned in the Missy 3310. Theirs is becoming a programming manager. Ultimately, at the top of the organizational career path could be the chief information officer. That takes years and years to get there. But that is a long-term goal. Where are we housed? Well, we know we're in the College of Business and they are in Arts and Sciences. So that's just a brief comparison between the two programs. Now I want to talk a little bit about our curriculum. Some of these courses you're going to find also in the minor, MIS minor. We got a 24-hour curriculum for the core. Everybody takes in the College of Business regardless of your major, including MIS too, though. The Missy 3310, Principles of Management Information Systems. You see SAP up there. We learn our second module of SAP. You learn the first module in Missy 1373 or 1173, right? The Sales and Distribution module. We get into purchasing in this first core course that everybody takes. Missy 3340, which says IS Infrastructure. That's essentially our networking class, taught by a certified network Cisco instructor. Missy 3350 or 3360. These are our two programming classes. You take one or the other, Visual Basic or JavaScript. The MIS majors know all this because they're going through the curriculum right now. But for those who aren't MIS, this is nice to know. Right now we're currently teaching Visual Basic, I believe. Missy 3370, an outstanding course that both the major and the minor take. It's called IS Analysis and Design, where you're actually analyzing, designing a new system or a business. Followed by Missy 4370, which is an ERP overview class. What does ERP stand for?
Enterprise Resource Planning.
Very good. Which is several different modules in SAP for the whole semester. Outstanding course. Originally, that class that I created many years ago was an advanced database class. But technology has evolved throughout the last several years, continues to evolve, so we've updated it, and now it's only an SAP class. 4380 is our capstone course, IS Development, which follows up from Missy 3370 project that you have created and designed. Now it actually gets put on the internet. It's a very good class. Missy 4350 is the IS Project Management class. These are the core required courses for the major. Then you have two electives you can choose from. Missy 4390, which is Business Intelligence. It's also an entry-level job title, BI Analyst. Who can tell me what business intelligence is? Anybody who's taken Missy 3310 should be able to tell me what it is. Business intelligence? Missy majors? Where are you? Raise your hand if you're a Missy major. Okay. What is it? Agree? Didn't we study that this term, where we are gathering information from multiple external and internal sources, analyzing that information, multi-dimensional online application processing of that information. We're analyzing the data in multi-dimensional attributes and giving it to management. It's a lot of information coming from multiple sources. And it's the software that enables us to tell what that data and information is telling us. And we also perform data mining when we're going through BI, because we have this data warehouse. Remember all those terms for those who had the class? That's what we do at that level. That is an outstanding course. That is where the job demand is the strongest, almost the strongest. Well, there's several where it's strong, but this is a big one, where they're looking for BI analysts who understand what the concept means, how to analyze all this data using a tool like SAP or some of the other software that can help you manipulate all that data. And then Missy 3395 is our ERP e-commerce course. This is an online course, and it teaches SAP. All right, going on. Software. Some of you who aren't MIS majors or minors may have never heard of some of this software. Everybody in the College of Business knows what SAP is. And you do know that you call it that way. You don't say SAP. You hear me? You got to call it right if you're going to be considered smart and knowledgeable. SAP. Oracle. What's Oracle?
We've just finished using it in 4380 and use Oracle to code and retrieve information that you want.
By writing queries?
Yes.
SQL queries?
Select queries and you have to find the information that you're looking for correctly.
That's right. You learn the syntax. syntax, based on writing those queries. Oracle is a database. It is a major competitor to SQL. It has evolved. It started out originally as a database. It is now considered an ERP program. It's gone way beyond being just a database. But we teach it as a database in our program. Dreamweaver, Tableau. We teach a case tool called Visible Analyst in MISSI 3370. Visual Basic, the programming software. Microsoft Project for the management of MIS 4350 project management class. Microsoft Project and of course Microsoft Office. All of these are in great demand. That's why we're so proud of our curriculum, because we stay current. We teach what is in demand in the marketplace, and we send our students out with the confidence that they can use these things because they've been exposed to them so much. Here are some of the job titles and careers in MIS that some of our former students hold. We have several business analysts or systems analysts, several consultants in SAP, several application analysts. In fact, that's what Christy and Rachel are. We have some working in the area of database administration. I'm not sure that we have actually database administrators, do we? Okay, good. And web designers, project management interns, customer support specialists. I mean, these are just a few of the job titles. There's many more than these. All right, here you might be interested in this table. Firms employing our graduates with the job titles shown, the company where they're working, the location, and the salary ranges. Lockheed Martin, between 50 and 55, as a business analyst. Network security administrator, 50 to 60,000. Systems manager, Tubal Payne and Viter, 30 to 40,000. Assistant network administrator in Nederland ISD, 40 to 50,000. All the way down, Huntsman, 40 to 50,000. IT systems specialist at Motiva, 40 to 50,000. Technical consultant. We've got several students here in Austin at this company. Some of them make more than 50.
They are all at 50 actually, because it's that range, but this
Total, this is just our intern position. That's why that is so much lower than the others. That's an intern. IS technician here in Beaumont, 35 to 40. IT developer at HP in Austin, 50 to 55. SAP analyst at Jacobs Engineering, 50 to 55. Help desk, 30 to 35. Data technician, 45 to 50. So you get a good feel for the salary ranges. Many of them that aren't even listed here make more than that, though. I know for a fact that they've been in touch with them, and I help place them in their position. So the demand is there for these jobs. The salary is really good. But to get this kind of salary, you've got to have these skills that you learn in these courses that we offer with the software. What about a double major? You're thinking, I'm not changing my major because I'm a first semester senior. You've got the second major. It goes very well with accounting, finance, marketing, anything we offer in the College of Business. It especially goes well with accounting, because there's so much interrelationship between the accounting function in the business and the IT function that's supporting those activities. And of course, accounting and MIS are probably the two greatest in-demand jobs in the college business, and they both pay excellent salary. So that would really be good if you could double major. Or, if you don't want to do that, consider this option. Get a minor. 18 hours compared to the major of 24 hours. So there really isn't that much difference. These would be the 4 core courses you would take, the MISSI 3310, which you've already had or will have taken, 3340, the networking course, 3370, the IS analysis and design, and 4370, the ERP overview. And then you choose 2 electives from this group. We have a lot of minors. I'm not sure of the head count of minors. We have several. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about how we're teaching SAP and what all we do with it outside of the classroom in terms of opportunities that you might want to consider. We're teaching it as of the last 7 years because everybody uses it in our area. We surveyed, Dr. Bainey and I surveyed the petrochemical industry, and every one of them uses an ERP of some type. The majority use SAP. Some of them use Oracle. They told us, we won't even hire your students unless they have some hands-on experience with it. So that's why we put it in, because we want you to be able to do the job. It is worldwide used. All these companies, 46,000, more than that probably now, use it. Everybody uses it. All these industries use it. And that's why there's such a huge demand for it, because you don't get this at every college. And many people have been out of college for a long time, and they've never heard of what you're learning in your classes now. But this is what industry is demanding. So once you get in on something and learn as much as you can about it, it's going to really improve your chances for getting hired. I've already mentioned the courses where we teach SAP. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the 5th one would be the freshman computer literacy class. Plus, outside of these, I teach one in the management department, a management 4350 class where I teach the human capital management, the HR module in that class. So we're teaching cost accounting in the cost accounting class in accounting. We're teaching a module in there. So we're getting a lot of exposure to it. The SAP University Alliance that we are a member of, one of very few schools, less than 300 are a member of this nationwide. And our dean pays our license fee every year so that we can pay for the use of the software to teach you this stuff. They offer up to $5,000 scholarships every year. Right now, they're even sponsoring a contest for students to develop apps using SAP for mobile devices. How about that? That's a hot IT trend right now. And they get a lot of, we're providing part-time IT jobs and opportunities using that. Lots of jobs out there. We post many of the jobs that we get on our Lamar, MIS Lamar Facebook page. If you're a member of that group, you might check it out. Check out the job requirements, the qualifications, the software. Sometimes they give the salary, sometimes not. But we would like for you to join that group if you're interested in either picking up a double major or a minor and being familiar with what is in demand and what the jobs are required. Let me talk for a minute before we finish up about what we have been offering every year for about the last 5 years in May. Maybe you have heard in some of your MIS classes the information about TURP 10. Before I tell you about the TURP 10, let me tell you that you're already familiar with this too. You can receive a recognition certificate without taking an exam. A recognition certificate if you have completed 3 different courses that offer SAP, excluding the MISSI 1373. So any of these you see up here, including the MISSI 3310, we print you out a certificate before you graduate. It does not require a certification exam, but it looks good to take with you and your resume when you start interviewing for jobs that, hey, I have 45 hours of exposure to these modules in SAP. For those who want to get certified, though, where the salary requirements really go up, you might want to think about enrolling in the TERP 10. That's what it's called, TERP 10. I call it a 2-week boot camp we offer every May when school is out. Before June, before summer 1 starts, in between semesters. We teach it up here. Mrs. Simmons, our SAP coordinator, is the instructor because she is certified. And it goes from 8 to 5 for 2 weeks. And on the last Friday, you take a very challenging online exam. And you know when you finish it if you passed it or not. And we normally have anywhere from 20 to 26, 27 students enrolled for that. The cost is approximately $500. And that pays for your materials. And we take you through most of the modules in SAP. A good preparation for getting through the TERP 10 exam is taking the MISSI 4370, the ERP overview class. That presents a lot of those modules that you're learning again in the TERP 10 class. When you pass that exam, if you pass that exam, your salary requirements go up by about 10 to 15,000. That's not an exaggeration. That's how much in demand SAP is, with people who really can prove that they know it. You know it, you pass that exam, but it's not easy. You have to come to class every day. You have to work on those applications. You have to study, and then you know when you walk out of there if you've made it or not. And even if you don't pass it, look at the knowledge you've gained that you can still take with you when you start applying for jobs. So this is the information I wanted to bring to you about what we have to offer, what the marketability is, what the job titles are, what the salary ranges are, what the software is that we teach. In case you're interested, contact Dr. Bandy, who is our chair of our department, or any of us who teach in the department. We'd be glad to have you. Okay, at this time, I would like to bring up and introduce to you 2 of my former students, 2 of the best students I've ever taught since I've been at Lamar. Have to be good if they're going to get an A in my classes, and they've had me for more than one. Miss Rachel Girio and Mrs. Christy Dunkelberg. Come up here on each side. They both work as an application analyst at Christus St. Elizabeth Hospital, and they have graciously agreed to come and share with you some information about their jobs and a little bit about what they do. So I'm going to turn it over to them, and if you have any questions you would like to ask them when they finish, feel free.
Thank you, Dr. Barnes.
Thank you, Cindy.
Good morning again, everybody. My name is Rachel Durio. I'm an application analyst with Christus Health. I'm on my 17th year of employment with Christus. Christus, of course, is a Catholic-based system of healthcare systems. We have hospitals located throughout Texas and Louisiana. We're divided into regions, and right here locally we are composed of the C-Tex region, which has 3 hospitals, St. Elizabeth in Beaumont, St. Mary in Port Arthur, and Jasper. And I'm not clinical, but I help provide the technology for the physicians to care for patients. Throughout the presentation, I may interchangeably use providers, physicians. With healthcare today, we have a lot of influx of what we call mid-levels. So we have physician assistants, nurse practitioners, and we help all of those people care for our patients. I am a part of I am. It's a little riddle we have, but we do a lot of acronyms, so you'll see a lot of acronyms. I've kind of tried to spell them out throughout the slide presentation, so it hopefully will make sense for you. Our corporate office is actually located in the Dallas urban area, and we also have a big concentration in San Antonio. That's where we have a lot of our servers that are stored, and we have our, anytime someone has a problem within Christus, a computer problem, they call a toll-free number that's actually answered in San Antonio. That's where our call center is. We have a tier 1 level support where they kind of handle most frequently asked problems and password resets, those types of things. Within the regions, we still have field service technicians that actually work on printers, CPUs, monitors, and then the physician support department. And we're the ones that provide the support for all the physicians caring for our patients. There's like 18 other analysts that do what I do within Christus. There's some people on my team that I haven't even met, because we have a virtual team. My supervisor's actually sitting in Dallas. So that's a different concept. The things that we do on a regular basis, we educate, we help fix problems, and then we also plan for the future, new endeavors, new upgrades, new releases. These are typically the most frequently used applications that we support. First one, our main one is Meditech. Meditech is a product from a vendor out in Boston. Anytime someone is admitted to our hospital or you do some outpatient work, all of that activity is tracked through Meditech. HPS is probably our top 2 application. That is our official medical record system. That's where we do a lot of scanning and archiving. So a lot of the paper charts are scanned in and they become a part of the electronic medical record. PAC system, both radiology and cardiology. You're not going to see any radiologists holding up films, lights anymore. Everything's done on the computer, digitally. You can see on the cardiology images, you can actually see like the blood flowing through the chambers, the different valves. So it's quite interesting. Our field strip monitoring system, that is something that we have that allows us to monitor the status of our mothers that are in labor. So that's very helpful. And then our EKG, the rhythm strips of the heart. Some of the projects that we've been working on, CPOM, for years our doctors have been writing out their orders on paper charts, and then our nurses enter that information into Meditech. We're trying to shift that responsibility to our doctors, and it kind of helps in patient safety so that they're kind of more aware, they're doing it themselves, to kind of eliminate the possibility of handwritten errors, and it has systems, checks, and balances built in. We live in a mobile society, so everything that our doctors use while they're in the hospital, we want to make that available to them in their offices. So we have a portal that's developed to work through the internet, and then they bring in their tablets. So we help them configure their iPads, their Surface tablets, and smartphones. We do both the Android market and the iPhone market. On demand. On demand is it uses the Citrix client, and it's a desktop virtualization software, and it allows them to kind of use their software and go from station to station throughout the hospital. Let's see, PDOC is, this project is what we're going to do to help dictate their software. It's going to use voice recognition software, and it'll be a faster medical record process. And just the different technology that we use today, we use the Macintosh and, of course, Windows, the different operating systems, browsers, and remote control software. Other things that we do, we provide our systems into the physician offices. So we have to maintain and make sure that they're protecting patient confidentiality. So we have to audit accounts. We deal with provider relations, the medical staff office, and health information exchange. Starting salary is typically around $42,000, and it has the capability to go up to $64,000. Some of the different skills that I use on a daily basis, Of course, the education that you're getting, that's very important. We do a lot of group work, so it's important to capitalize on the strengths and kind of minimize the weaknesses of your core group that you work with. Programming. I don't remember all the coding that I did when I went through the program, but I tell you, it taught me critical thinking skills. So that helps me every day when I answer the phone and trying to work through a problem and trying to figure out what's the next step to go to obtain a resolution. Communication skills, we use that on a regular basis, both written, verbal, and listening skills, trying to figure out what kind of problem they're having and to see if we can come up with a solution to help them. And then networking. We interact with different physicians, hospital administrators, nurses, staff. So we come in contact with a lot of different people. Christy, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, I think that on your last slide, you had a good one about communication. We talk about that we live in the mobile world, and I have to say that's probably, in our position, the most important thing, because we're trying to obtain from our end user what their issue is and things like that, and being able to communicate with the end user as well as with our team. We're in a virtual society. I mean, our people that are assisting us with our issues may not be here in Beaumont. So it's being able to communicate and being able to, kind of, I hate to say it, but, when you get that phone call from your mom and they're trying to look up something on the internet, but we have a very diverse, group, and we do a lot of things. When our corporate office moved to Dallas, that left our group here as the feet on the ground, for lack of better words, for our hospital. So we've taken on kind of, our roles have evolved, but we're more on the application side, but we do troubleshoot networking issues and, things like that within our clinic, because we have St. Elizabeth and Jasper and St. Mary's. So.
Going back to communication skills too, like Christy was highlighting, our written communication skills are very important as well, because we communicate quite frequently through email. And, I'm a texter with my friends, and, I do a shortcut U for YOU, but there's really no place in that for in a business memo or a business email. I've received emails like that before, and you lose credibility really fast. So you got to be able to communicate effectively in written form when you make an impact and improve the situation.
And I see your project management class. Good Lord, I mean, we sit on projects, every day, and we're a part of it, because somehow it impacts the physician. So we are on, projects, and to, we have project managers, but like Rachel and I were talking about, one, it's like, sometimes you sit there and think, that's not quite right, or, so I challenge all of you to learn, the project management side of it, because you will be a member of a team, and you may not have the strong leader, but you can't forget the skills that you get here. I mean, it's just, there's processes that we go through, and I have to say that it came from here. I mean, when I sit down to start with a user, I mean, you do it every day, that you've got a remote and you've got to have good communication skills. You've got to know how to do something from start to finish, and that's most important, and that's the things that I got, here.
Well, and then like Christy said, with different project teams that you work with, and the different group works that you do, and then the people that you come in contact with. We can have days where we're in front of physicians or nurses, but a lot of times, I'm interacting, like as an example, with hospital administrators, and you carry out those relationships both inside business and outside of business. So it's like I see that hospital administrator in physician meetings, but then they see him at church with his wife, or talk to him at the grocery store. And so it's important to continue building those relationships and establish them both inside and outside of work. Some office managers that I deal with, they're the key to get to the physician. If I need to call a physician office that has like 20 doctors, they'll say, okay, well, this one, they prefer email. Here's his email address. This one, why don't you give him a call on his cell phone? Here's his cell phone. Or this one, you know what, he's in clinic today. Let me go pull him out of the patient room. So, it's important to build those relationships. And even as another example, the lady that wipes the tables in the lunchroom, she's so helpful. if I go into that doctor's dining room and there's a new doctor that we need to meet, she already knows his name, what his specialty is, so I can walk up to that doctor and introduce myself, and I already know his name, he's an OB doctor, and it just gives me an opening, hey, how many babies have you delivered this week? So everybody plays a very important part, and it's important to recognize that as well.
After you saw our curriculum that we're teaching now, which is a lot different than what you two went through. We've evolved. They graduated
When I was doing
1992 for her and
function
1993
keys
for
and
her.
Word Perfect. I can remember that. I learned all those. Yeah, we had to memorize those function keys.
In the DOS era. It was DOS.
Because somebody went behind us and revealed codes to see how many times it recorded what you did.
Looking at our current curriculum, you two, looking at our current curriculum of courses, is there anything that is missing that you see that we should be teaching in terms of software or course content?
Now, I like the project management. I said it a minute ago. I said it. That one's a good one. I mean, we're still using the Office products. I mean, I think that the Microsoft, suite of things is good. Oracle, because SQLs, we do not write the SQLs. I mean, if we're trying to get data extracted, we have to go to a report writer or something like that. But definitely a need for that, because there is always a physician or a provider or a department that is looking at your report and they're saying, but if I just had this one piece of information, and so we have to then in turn, the duties are very, divided, but report, if that were my second thing, it would be report writing, because we do a lot of that. We extract a lot of data. We sort, we can run downloads from our provider dictionary and we'll pull it into Excel, so things like that. So those things, yes, I definitely learned that here. What do I wish? I wish I probably would have had more advanced courses in those, because mine are not the, and I laughed because I said, I'm old school here. Mine do not come out, just quite right. The data, is there. But so, yes, I encourage all that. That works well. Go ahead.
When you were talking about reporting, the data analytics business intelligence class is the right class for that. We teach a variety of tools to prepare a lot of multidimensional reports. All sorts of data slicing, cubing, dicing.
That's right. I can tell you in any business, right, in any industry that you get in, there is some type of reporting.
Yeah, that's very important.
Even if you were the volunteer secretary at your church, you're going to have to extract that data into the reports. That's anywhere. So yes, I do see it's right in line.
Well, another thing, and when we were in the program, I don't even think they had online education classes.
No.
So it's like, I think the experiences you're getting inside the four walls, that you can interact with your fellow students, your one-on-one FaceTime with your instructors, I think that's key. I think that's very important. Going back to the programming thing too, again, I remember like the algorithms and the flowcharts that we did, and that stuff really, you don't retain that, or I didn't. But again, it's just learning, the critical thinking skills, how to, when you're faced with a problem, how to think it through, what options to try next. Looking at some of that stuff, like your file layouts, your data elements, your primary key fields. Back when I was in school, I didn't think I'd ever use that stuff. And I do. I use it today in some of our applications. Our medical staff office, they have a Career Plus application. So the medical staff office is actually the front door for our physicians. Anybody that wants to come in and get credentials, work in our hospitals, they go to the medical staff office. They populate that information in the software application, and then it interfaces to our Meditech main system. Well, you got to know what's going on in the background, how those interfaces field, how those fields map across the different systems. So all of that stuff and troubleshooting and all that, it's pretty important.
I remember primary key, foreign key.
I do.
Right, and I selected this side of it because when she did the side-by-side comparisons, that was helpful, because I'm more on the business side. I'm honestly, programming was not my forte. And it's not for everybody, but I felt a calling to do the business side of it. And she's she's right. I mean, we get calls all the time. There's something in our provider dictionary. So you are constantly analyzing data. And I may not be the programmer that programmed the interface, but I'm like, show me the data and show me the fields and let's figure out where we're going and what it's mapping to and things like that. So, I mean, it's a very interesting field. I use, like I said, things, you know, that knowledge that I gained here. Because you can apply that, and she and I have had this discussion because we've had clinical people in this role and we've had technical people in this role. And I said, you know, I'm not clinical, but I can get you to the spot where you can make your clinical decision.
Well, and then the other thing is that in my environment, we're in healthcare. And so healthcare, you know, those folks aren't really focused on computer stuff. So if there's a nurse calling in that's having computer problems, I mean, a lot of times it's just walking them through how to do a control-alt-delete, simply deleting that computer. And, you know, it doesn't mean anything to them, but I mean, you know, at the end of the conversation, like, you're their hero because you got them up and going again, and they're getting the data that they need. You know, it is exciting in some of the things that we do, just like some of our, the on-demand that we talked about just briefly. You know, that little virtualization piece, that's getting us ready, setting the foundation and groundwork for like biometrics. So in the future, they can just swipe a badge and say how to remember an account and password, or use a thumbprint. I mean, that's where we want to be. Right now, they're having to remember so many different accounts and passwords for all of our different systems, you know, and then they go to different hospitals. So it's hard for them and then to manage their personal banking passwords and software, you know, I mean, it's very overwhelming. So anything to help it make their lives easier because their focus is patient care. They're here to treat their patients, and so our job is to help them make that as easy as possible for them.
And we are in the, you know, we talked about they were writing applications for mobile devices. Absolutely, we are definitely in the mobile market with the iPads, the iPhones. They want their, you know, information on their phones, our on-demands available on the phone. But we have other applications that come from Meditech that's like a Meditech mobile. So we are in that. We set up their devices, you know, and she laughs at me because I sit in her office. I go, I gotta get this working. You know, it changes from, it's day to day. I mean, it changes all the time, and to keep up with that, to be one step ahead. And I mean, it's just rolling up your sleeves and doing it. I mean, and at the end of the day, you know.
And you know, different advancements help. You know, the remote control software tools that we have, those are just outstanding. You know, so when I'm on call and I get a call from Louisiana Hospital, as long as I get that IP address, then you know what, I can RDP right direct to that desktop and see what they're seeing in Louisiana. We also have a Bombard remote control software tool. So with our physician offices, those aren't Christus control devices, but we do have the capability to remote those computers out in their offices. Also with our Citrix program, we have a Shadow Console product, and that allows us even to remote into iPads, mini iPads, iPhones. So, you know, when my doctor in Jasper is calling, you know, he's got patient labor and he can't see the fetal strip, well, you know what, I can remote into his iPhone and help get him going. And it's just